Hey guys, it's Coach Kathy Richardson. Welcome back to my channel. I'm in my pajamas. It's almost time for bed. And I thought, what better time to finally address a subject that you guys have been asking about a lot lately. And it's probably because I've been talking about it. But it's the importance of sleep with your weight loss journey. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name's Coach Kathy Richardson. I've lost 150 pounds and I'm here to help you meet your weight loss goals and maintain them too. And if you like content like this, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Sleep and how it affects your weight loss journey. Are they connected at all? Well, as you know, I like to listen to the podcasts, watch the other YouTubers, listen to the doctors, read the books. I do all of those things because I know you don't have time to. So I did a little bit of a deep dive on this after hearing about it a lot in the weight loss community. Sleep is kind of like the buzzword right now, and rightfully so. And it's because we know that good quality sleep is trending down and weight gain is majorly trending up. Now, we know that causation does not equal correlation, but are they related at all? Yes. Yes, they are. We can emphatically say that now. We already know this a little bit because of shift workers. We know that like your police officers, your doctors, your paramedics, your nurses, people who do overtime shifts at their jobs, we know that statistically, not only do they have a shortened lifespan, and it's probably because of the following. We know that they have an increased risk of obesity, of diabetes, of heart problems. Things go a little crazy when we start messing with our sleep. Let's look at what the studies say. That's where all the information really lies. In 2008, there was a pretty big study done, and it was called the Adverse Cardiovascular Consequences of Circadian Misalignments. It's a big word. So first of all, let's look at the word circadian. If you're not familiar with what your circadian rhythm is, then let's just talk about that right now. So your circadian rhythm is your body's internal clock. It's your internal 24-hour clock that is regulated by sunrise and sundown. Everybody has one. We all have a built-in 24-hour clock. What this study wanted to do was see what happens when there's misalignments, meaning your circadian rhythm gets messed up and taken out of alignment. So they took normal test subjects and they actually put them onto a 28-hour day instead of a 24-hour day. They actually still got the same amount of sleep. They just were awake for a little longer and had their jobs and duties a little bit longer. Well, when the circadian rhythm was disrupted in half of the group and it wasn't in the other half, and they compared what happened, they noticed almost right away there was an increase in insulin. There was an increase in blood glucose. And not only did it increase, but it stayed elevated longer. And there was a decrease in leptin. If you're kind of like new to some of these sciencey words, insulin drops blood glucose, but when it's stimulated and spiked a lot, it requires more and more, and you can become insulin resistant, which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes. And so now we know, just because of this study, that when your sleep is decreased, your insulin is going up. Also, the leptin hormone went down. Leptin is a hormone that tells our body, I'm full, I'm satisfied, I've had enough. When you are tired and you're not getting enough sleep, or you've messed up your circadian rhythm, that signal is going to get disrupted, and it's going to be disrupted by being lowered. So you have a lower chance of knowing when you're full, and that means you're going to eat more. Okay, so that study was 2008, Kathy. Do you have anything newer? Well, I sure do. In 2018, there was another sleep study done, and they had two groups. And in one group, their sleep was only reduced by an hour, just 1 hour, but consistently an hour over the course of a few weeks. How easy is that to happen? You might get hooked on a new show. You might be binge watching something. You might have a book that you can't put down, or you might be working late for a few nights out of the week. There's a million reasons why our sleep can get disrupted by just an hour. That's really not that big of a deal. But what they found was, with these two groups, one had their sleep disrupted by an hour, one did not. They both, however, had calories reduced. So they were both put on a calorie reduction diet. In the group that had the good sleep and didn't have it reduced, they lost a significant amount of weight compared to their peers who had their sleep reduced just by 1 hour. So just by canceling out an hour of sleep, they didn't lose as much weight, even though everything else, as much as possible, was the same. It's really, really interesting. And not only did the group that got the good sleep lose weight more, the weight that they lost was not muscle mass, it was actual fat. So all you gym rats out there, all you people who are getting up at 4, 5, 6 in the morning and getting into the gym and just getting that grind on before you go to work, that's awesome, but be sure you are doing due diligence and getting really good sleep the night before, because increased sleep increases gym performance. That's something else that's been proven, and it increases muscle recovery specifically. So if you're suffering from DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness, it could be because you're not getting enough sleep. You know, there are supplements and different things that can affect that too. But one thing that you can do to give yourself the best workout possible is by getting a solid 8 hours of sleep the night before. So we emphatically know that sleep changes our internal chemistry, and it's our hormones specifically. You know, we hear melatonin, melatonin, take these melatonin gummies, spray this melatonin spray underneath your tongue. Okay. Melatonin is a hormone, and we make it ourselves, and it is the sleep hormone. But when you start messing with things artificially, sometimes that doesn't go well. And decreased sleep in particular is going to do a few things to a few hormones. So let's go over that right now. A big one is our stress hormone, and that's cortisol, and that's going to go up. That's going to go way up when you get overtired and you don't get your sleep. Cortisol really affects weight loss. It can stall it right in its tracks, and it can actually cause an increase in weight gain. That's why people who have an adrenal tumor or have Cushing's syndrome or Cushing's disease, or even during menopause, when you increase your cortisol, your weight more than likely is also going to increase, and fat loss is going to become 3 times as difficult, if not more. And it increases belly fat specifically. So that is very significant if you're trying to reduce your weight and reduce your belly circumference, which then in turn reduces your risk of type 2 diabetes and a bunch of cancers. So not only is cortisol going to be increased, as we just talked about, insulin is going to increase. And here's another one. It's one we're familiar with, the ghrelin gremlin. When the ghrelin gremlin goes up, so does our appetite. Ghrelin makes us hungry. The tireder we are, the more hungry we're going to get. And on the flip side of that, guess what goes down? Leptin, the I'm full. So the more tired you are, you're going to not get those signals, and you're not going to pick up on them that you actually have eaten enough food, and it's very likely that you're going to overeat. And here's the significant one. Serotonin drops, and it drops a lot. So, you know, the more tired you are, the more grumpy you're going to be. But when that happens over and over a prolonged time, we're setting ourselves up for an increased risk of depression and anxiety, and in the short term, emotional eating. I will say, just for my own little N=1 experiment, normally I get awesome sleep. It's kind of like a running joke in my family that if you start a movie with me, Coach Kathy isn't finishing it. I might watch the opening credits, and if I'm in a chair and I have a blanket, I'm in bed. You know, I sleep great. I'm blessed with really good sleep, but I have had to work at it. In the past, I didn't always have the best sleep, but I do fight for it now, and sleep and I are BFFs. So it's hard for me to stay up late, and it's hard for me to stay up really late and do stuff. But I'm trying new things now, you know? I'm 45, I'm living a little. And I actually recently joined a band, and we had a gig on New Year's Eve. And we didn't stop playing until 1 o'clock in the morning. And then by the time all the equipment's broken down and the venue's, you know, all the gear's out of the venue, that's more like 2 o'clock. And then I don't know about you, but I can't just jump right into bed and fall asleep. I was starving. So, you know, we had to unwind, and I ate some food, and we kind of talked about how the night went. And by the time I actually got to bed, it was around 4:30 in the morning. And our daughter had to fly out to Ontario later that day. And so we didn't even get to sleep that long. I think we got up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. So we had 3.5 hours of sleep. And let me tell you what, all day, I had cravings for food that I don't even really like or I care if I eat. I just couldn't stop wanting very, very bad foods. And I was more emotional than normal. And yeah, we're all tired and we can get a little grumpy. And it was a sad day because I had to say goodbye to her until April. But you know, that's not just because it was an emotional day, that there's science backing that up, that the less sleep you get, the more emotional you are, and that serotonin is dropping. And, we're going to want to try to fill that felt need with food. And it's not going to be chicken and broccoli that we're going to fill that void with. It's going to be yucky food. And that's because there was another study done. And this study is talked about by kind of like this new sleep guru. I don't want to say he's new, but he's new to me anyways. And I've been really interested in a lot of what he has had to say on sleep and weight loss. And he was on somebody's podcast and they were talking. His name is Dr. Nathan Walker. And he was talking about how lack of sleep is directly correlated to increased cravings of a term called obesogenic foods. So these are foods that promote obesity. These are very fatty foods, very not good carb foods. They're very starchy foods, lots of sugar like it's a boss, and salt. So it's all the things that aren't going to put you on your weight loss path. Well, we do have our 20% foods, or 80% or 20% foods, but you can't be craving those 20% foods all the time and giving into those cravings. And you are going to have to fight your own body tooth and nail to not give in to those cravings if you are chronically getting poor sleep. And that's because our body actually produces our own endocannabinoids. So cannabinoids are found in cannabis and THC, and they can give you the munchies. But our body can create its own sleep munchies with the endocannabinoids due to exposure of, chronic poor sleep. And so the sleep munchies do this to your body, and this will make you think twice about staying up too many times. Your leptin that we know drops, it drops by 18% with just a little bit less sleep than normal. And at the exact same time, the ghrelin monster, the ghrelin gremlin that's going to tell you that you're hungry, is going to go up by 22%. So the full's going down at the same time as the hungry is going up. So you're essentially being punished twice for the same crime. That crime is poor sleep. So that's pretty specific. And not only is ghrelin going to be coming knocking and want to be paid, it's going to want to be paid in full with obesogenic foods. So we do have one more study to talk about, and this one's really new. It's a 2022 study done by JAMA, which is the Journal of American Medical Associations. And they did a study with 80 overweight people. So these people already were overweight, and they did a survey, and they found they just got a control group of 80 people who were overweight and who admitted to getting 6 or less hours of sleep. They took half of them and just gave them 1 more hour of sleep. So they made sure they were getting 7 hours of sleep a night, and the other half just kept doing their thing. But they noticed quite quickly that with increased sleep, calorie consumption went down significantly, straight across the board with all of the 7 hours of sleep people. They weren't told to do anything different. And actually, they didn't even know that their sleep study was going to have anything to do with their eating habits. They just thought it was about sleep. They were monitored for all kinds of things to kind of trick them. So they didn't even know that their calories were being monitored. And they found, on average, they ate 155 calories less a day without even trying. The only thing that got changed was the amount of sleep they had. And in the other half of the participants who were getting 6 or less hours of sleep a day, they regularly consumed 100 calories more than what they normally did. And so you had like this discrepancy of more than 250 calories between these two groups. And so at the end of that study, the group that just got 1 more hour of sleep a night lost 3.9 pounds on average. And the other group, who just slept normally or less, actually gained weight. They didn't say how much, but they just said that they gained weight. So that's really significant though, guys. Like if you don't change anything else, you eat the same amount of calories, or you plan on eating the same amount of calories, you might not even end up eating all those calories, but you're just giving yourself the best chance possible to lose a little bit more weight. And we know, like I said, that sleep encourages fat loss specifically, because when we lose a significant amount of weight, sometimes we lose some muscle in there too. But the good quality sleep is going to help us preserve our muscle. And that is the name of the game. We know that muscle mass helps us in a bunch of different ways on this weight loss journey. We're going to be burning more calories at rest. And from a female standpoint, guys, like muscle is our bubble wrap. and we start losing muscle. It's called sarcopenia, I think, and it's, happens naturally from age 40 on, even if you don't change anything with your exercise habits. We naturally start to wane muscle from age 40 on, and that's both male and females. So you want to hang on to it as much as possible, and a simple way to do that is by getting a good night's sleep. And it's kind of an obvious one, but the longer we're awake, the more we're going to be tempted to eat. And night snacking, I have found, and I have heard from clients and friends, and I'm in all the Facebook groups and I'm monitoring what people are saying. The biggest struggle people have on their weight loss journey is during those witching hours, 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. It's that after supper snack. That's 9 times out of 10 when people are searching for food, they're not hungry. If hunger isn't the problem, food isn't the solution. Make sure you are not trying to fill a void or a felt need with food when it isn't actually food that you want or need. We know when you eat 3 hours or sooner before going to bed, you're really messing up your chance of having a good night's sleep, and you're not going to get into that REM sleep, that rapid eye movement sleep. That's the sleep that helps us build muscle, build our immunity, and that's when the most fat loss happens. You are absolutely doing yourself a disservice on your weight loss journey by compromising your sleep. So you might say, Coach Kathy, how do I get good sleep, Coach Kathy? Please tell me. Well, this video has been long enough, and you're going to have to stick around for tomorrow, because I'm going to give you my top 10 tips to get the best night's sleep possible. I hope you've enjoyed this. Again, hit like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another cool video like this. And stay tuned, because you're going to find out how to get a good night's sleep soon.